And now here's part 2 of our episode.
I want to address something that you said right before we listened to the song, which is the idea of the song being kind of tender and infectious. Wait, was it tender and infectious?
Yeah.
I like the word tender to describe this album because I think so much dance music gets a reputation for being like people just grinding on the floor, and it's really like aggressively sexual sometimes. And that's not how I feel this album comes across. It feels like, and even sort of like the tempo at which the whole album runs at, it's not, running super fast. It's actually
Right.
at like a beat that you could dance all 55 minutes or however long the album is, and you could stay on the dance floor and you wouldn't need to have a ton of stamina. So it's, I don't know, I like those words to describe that.
Yeah, I feel the same way, Michael. And I think for a long time growing up, I didn't really like going to like Boys Town and stuff like that because a lot of it was like house music. And I didn't really like, in Chicago, beautiful house hub, creation site, etc. Or was it Detroit? I forget.
Both, I would say. That's what they say.
I think that's what it is. But that's what I mean when it was like really influential for like my queer identity, because I think it blurred beautifully the lines of like house and R&B and stuff that I liked, and it made me able to understand like the beauty of like house music too. Because now I can go to a house party and I can dance and like all night if I need to. Yeah, exactly that. It's tender. It's not beating you over the head. It's just, to me, Kaytranada music always feels like you dressed impeccably. You are wearing your favorite shoes, your favorite outfit, your hair's looking great, you got your makeup on cute, and you're walking through the door at the party and it's lit. That's how Kaytranada makes me feel. Like, it just makes me feel like I'm walking into a party as my best self, ready to tear it up.
999 points for that. 999 points for Kaytranada feels like you were your best self walking into the party.
Where am I at right now with those points?
Oh, you're doing great. You're doing great.
What's the conversion rate for points to USD?
Well, Bitcoin's cratered, so we're all bets are off.
Well, but also, I mean, since it is Kaytranada, we have to take into account Canadian currency. So it's gonna
true.
We're gonna have to do some calculus on this.
You're screwed.
Crap.
You're doing great on the points. By the way, I want to post the AMA. We'll post the link for the AMA with Kaytranada because I feel like there's some great nuggets in here. But somebody asked him, what BPM do you make most of your tracks on? And he responded, 108 is the magic number.
Which is lower than I think a lot of like super, stereotypical techno music. I feel like it's close to like 120, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's one of the things in the research for this episode that I came across, and I don't think we ever really watched these together, Nube, but were his Boiler Room DJ sets, which Boiler Room, for those of you who don't know, is a British, music streaming service that has these live DJ sets. And there's a kind of infamous one of Kaytranada in Montreal. And it's just the video feed. It's 42 minutes of him at the table playing his set. And there's just madness happening around him. Just absolute debauchery. People are... there's this really tall girl who's losing her mind, and she's like mugging for the camera. And then
it's incredible.
There's a guy hitting on this girl, and this girl totally puts her foot down and says, "Get the hell away from me." It's really worth a watch. There's all this madness happening around him, and he's totally unflappable amidst the whole thing, which it's very illustrative of like what his energy is like overall, and I think matches the music.
Absolutely.
As well.
He's ill, man. And like that video is incredible. Like on a musical standpoint, absolutely. Like the transitions. I watch that video all the time because of like a certain transition that he does. And like in my head, I can't listen to the first part of that song without the transition now. I'm always like, if I'm going to listen to that song, I want to hear it transition too.
Yeah, I've had that experience too, where you get dedicated to the live version of the live recording of a song, and then the recorded version just doesn't quite hit the same.
Exactly. So yeah, and it's great people watching for sure. I learn something new, or I see something like a progression in a character's plot in that thing, a new development every damn time. There, you know that dude that's hitting on the girl, like all the girls in
Oh, he's drunk. He's so drunk. It's bad.
It's terrible. It's so gross. And it's just like, wow, yikes. Next question.
I'm curious to know, when we asked you to come up with some perfect albums, and we, once again, we did not define perfect for you, what sort of things did you think about when you were coming up with your list?
Oddly enough, I was telling Tyler this yesterday. Tyler, out of all the albums I gave you, I was really hoping that Kaytranada was the one that you weren't going to pick. And my reason for saying that is because I really think Bubba, not as if it's a competition or anything, Bubba's his newest album, it's just this album tenfold. It's just like a beautiful total awakening, like a full-fledged just like unfurling of who Kaytranada is and is capable of, and like all the collaborators are like so exciting to see. It like when the album dropped, it was an event for me. It was definitely an event for me. A perfect album. That was the question, right? Like, what's a perfect album for me?
Yeah. What are the criteria you're after?
Yeah, for me, I think what I really wanted to do was just something that motivated me throughout my whole life. Was a real privilege to have at my hands, and what kind of was landmark for me. I think at that point I could do it by it has no skips, this, that, and the third, whatever. But I really just wanted to hone in on just how much it's affected my life for the positive, but also bangers, I guess. I don't know. Bangers. In short,
bangers are important.
Yeah, and this album's full of them. Like my favorite track, that was hard because I wanted to choose Bus Ride so bad. I can't tell you how many times I've listened to Bus Ride on repeat for hours. How many times I've literally been on a bus and that's my pensive song. That's the song that has gotten me through my last divorce, this and no, I'm kidding. but nah, for real, like stuff like that. It I've had my toughest moments to that song and gotten out of the tunnel of negativity and stuff, and it's helped me move away from things that I needed to move away from, and it's a song that just makes me feel calm. I've studied to that. So this album just encapsulates a lot for me. A perfect album is one that allows you to feel maybe every sense of my humanity. I want to feel tender. I want to feel strong. I want to feel angry. I want to feel angry. I want to feel love, appreciation, gratefulness, and I think those albums that can make me feel like a complex human being while I'm listening to it are my favorite and are the best.
We've when we talk about perfection, I think I don't want to speak for Tyler too much here, but I do feel like ultimately we are way more interested in the subjectively perfect as opposed to the objectively perfect. Yeah. I mean, I think that there's, because I don't think such a thing exists. And so I for you, if you have all of these personal emotional associations with it, that's to me, in fact, because my next question was going to be, well, if the next Kaytranada album is so much better, why this one specific? Why was this the one that you chose? And if it is something you had more personal connection to, then
yeah, that's a good question. What made you put 99.9% down as opposed to Bubba?
To be quite honest, I felt like I needed to get you guys an answer real quick because I was really bad with the emails. I was thinking of my albums and I was listening to them again and I was like, damn, I really don't know. And I just felt bad because I think a couple of the albums that are on the recommended list were more recent. And I think what I've seen in the past episodes was older albums. So I felt like I had to kind of do a throwback, kind of say Illmatic, or something, something like that. I wanted to put Bubba, but yeah, that was kind of holding me back. But I'm actually really grateful that I put 99 instead of Bubba because I think it seems like an origin story to me for Kaytranada. I don't know. I think it feels like a really great, if aliens invaded and they were like, yo, if you had to choose one person that I could listen to music in order to make us think that you're worthy to be not destroyed, I'd be like, yeah. I got you, fam. Kaytranada. And I'd save the human race. I would.
You would. He's got the spirit that we want the aliens to see. He is the
not the
generosity of
not the
spirit.
hero we deserve, because we
No,
definitely deserve
we
to
don't.
just.
No, we don't deserve Kaytranada. You know what I think is interesting to think about who he hasn't had official collaborations with yet that is still possible. Like, I don't think he's had an official
Ooh.
collaboration with Kendrick yet.
I think he might have. I'm not sure. And that's the beautiful thing. Like, a lot of his stuff, that's like my favorites. And that was another thing that was tough with this album too, because I was like, I really like Look Easy. Like, if someone was like, what's your favorite Kaytranada song? I'd probably be like, it has to be that one. Or Dysfunctional. So a lot of his singles that aren't attached to albums are just incredible, knock out the parks. But I think this album is just a really great origin story. I think it blends, it caresses you. It really takes you on a journey through what this dude is capable of.
Right.
And I'm excited to see everything that comes after too.
What I'm hearing you say is that what makes this album perfect is the role it has played in your life. And
Absolutely.
that fact that this is a person, this is an artist who has spoken to you in a very specific way. And it sounds like, you know, in the spontaneity of just feeling like you had to put something down and like you're saying like 99.9% is the one because it was the first one and because it tells the story of Kaytranada essentially from the beginning. So I think it's a really that makes a lot of sense to me and as an argument for its perfection, actually. For what it's worth, I believe 99.9% got an 8.0 on Pitchfork and Bubba got an 8.1. Thanks, Pitchfork.
Those guys don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah,
it's a conglomerate built on lies and the greasing of palms.
A conglomerate too that also only a few years ago finally decided to expand the genres that they would cover, because for the longest time it was only like the super nerdy, like, well, either like sort of nerdy rock or also like frankly white bands. I mean, to be blunt.
I love Blunt.
James Blunt.
I will also put out there too something Tyler and I were saying beforehand. This is also a really good workout album.
It is.
Yes.
Now I'm gonna have to add Bubba to this when I go to the gym, so I can.
It's really great. It's really great.
Bubba's more like a full, like, I know I said that 99.9% is like a DJ set, but like Bubba's really like a DJ set. That is like
it's so good.
It feels like it's constructed in that way.
I'm down.
I think that's another reason why I like Bubba just a hint more, is because it's more easy for me to just listen to that album and let it play and let it run wild than it is for 99%, because in all honesty, like the Vic Mensa track, it's cool. I think Vic Mensa's flow is something that is really cool, but it's not something that I totally like vibe with all the time. It's kind of like, you know, like I'll eat it, but it is going to be hard for me for the first couple bites with the chewing, you know, or some, you know what I mean, kind of vibe. Because his approach is a little off kilter with the beat. I hear it again, like I was playing it again, and I was like, he went in. He has some solid bars, and I think it fits really well, and I think that just blends to Kaytranada's versatility, which I think is one of the most important things that I wanted to be apparent with my decision too, was like the ability. I think another reason why I liked the album and thought it was good is because of versatility. You know?
Yeah, that's a really well made point. I'm going to give you 66 points. 66 points for mentioning like the blendability.
Could I get 3 more points just because LOL?
You can have 69 points for the blendability. Only for you, Nube.
You dog.
But we recently talked about Lizzo. We recently talked about Cause I Love You.
God bless her.
Bless her indeed. And that was a point that I don't think I made during that discussion, was that her features, it doesn't feel like the features are just added on top. It really feels like the features are blended in very intentionally. Like Gucci Mane on that album, it doesn't sound like he's on a Gucci Mane album. It's like a completely different version of Gucci Mane on the Lizzo album than you've ever heard. And I think Kaytranada like succeeds in doing that as well, where none of the features feel like they're on a different song. They all feel like they're really intentionally integrated into these into the larger picture.
Seconded.
Yeah, it's just to get a sense. I mean, if Kaytranada is, you know, I think calling Kaytranada a DJ feels a little reductive, but like if that's, you know, that's because I feel like there's more to it than that. But part of that job is listening, and listening to who are you working with, what, like, and sort of feeling out the vibe of the crowd, like what's the next thing to do. Like the best DJs aren't walking in with a specific list like that they're going to play all night. They've got some things in their mind, but then you got to gauge it based on the crowd, and I think that's a skill that really shines through on the album.
Well, so should we move to a little recap of the board,
Michael? I think it's time. Yes,
I think it's time. Let's see how the case you made was, Nube.
We'll do the Canadian exchange too after we total up the points.
Yeah, we'll do a little bit of that.
Well, I get the conversion and you guys won't, so that is better in my.
We'll do the advantageous one for you.
We'll give you the better of the two.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Nice.
All right, so taking it back from the beginning, from the most recent points you got, I gave you 69 points for the blendability of Kaytranada. I think that's the first 69 point total I've given somebody, so you're welcome.
You gotta ask. You gotta ask. Like, it doesn't hurt to ask. It doesn't hurt to ask. It's every shot you don't take. Okay, exactly. 69. Nice, go.
999 points for sharing that idea that Kaytranada feels like wearing your favorite outfit, your favorite shoes, your hair looks great, you're walking into the party and it's lit, and that's what Kaytranada feels like. I think that's a very apt description. I give you 4,000 points for the bounce house analogy of the beat on a Kaytranada album feeling like somebody bouncing over on the other end of the bounce house, and you're feeling that undulation. That's evocative and totally correct. And then getting back to your first few rounds of points, you got 300 points for your characterization of Radiohead as Vanilla Ice Cream in an interesting bowl that you saw in that bar bathroom.
I love Coldplay.
Careful. We can take points away.
We can.
Oh shit!
And you got 400 points for Neil Young. Neil Young opening your eyes to the what white people can do with music. Bless that man. Another Canadian, by the way. Another prominent Canadian.
Hell yeah.
And then you got 600 points for listening to hip hop on the boombox with Joji as a kid, trying to shut it off when your parents are walking down the hall, because there's nothing like it being a little bit of forbidden fruit and getting to enjoy something like that. So add that to the 99.9% that you gave me for my recap of Kaytranada as an artist and this album. The board's looking pretty strong. Michael, did you have any thoughts you wanted to share?
Why is this the only album that matters?
Because I said so. Next question. No.
I like that.
Why does this album matter? I think it's a very human experience to see, not like a comeback story, an origin story. Like, you can hear the skits between every thing in the album where it's like they're talking about them, and it's like, who doesn't want to be recognized for their art? Who doesn't want to be vindicated, validated? To have like all those little excerpts in it, I think it speaks to like his humor and his compassion for himself, and like where he's aware of where he come from, and like the expectations. And there's a scene where it's like, shout out to all the Montreal like Pomo, and he's like saying like, that sound, there's like, Montreal is killing it right now. I love things like that. I love underdogs. I love that kind of beauty coming from a tough spot, or like, you know, this and that, and making it, cutting your teeth, getting where you need to be. And so I think there's an element of that everybody can kind of really vibe with. And ultimately, I think I walk around my head with a lot of tough thoughts sometimes. You know, we're in a tough spot with COVID. You know, I definitely feel like my life has changed forever. I have a lot of privilege where like I moved to a new city. I'm trying to make the best of it. I'm really trying to give this new job and everything my best foot forward, and I'm allowing myself to be happy and allowing myself to be at a point in my life where I can get excited about things. So I think that's really why I chose this album, because I was like, life is about experiencing it. Life is about laughing. My favorite moments in life, the things I remember so clearly, are laughing my ass off with you, Ty, laughing my ass off with you, Michael. You know, like, so ultimately this album matters because it's the epitome of a good time. What life's supposed to be. It's enriching, it's complex. I think it just is very human in nature.
Good answer.
Next question. That's
Well,
that's the thing we did.
It's your thing. It's your thing. That's what I wanted. So that was an excellent summation. And Michael, considering the points on the board and considering everything that Nube's been able to, all the images Nube's been able to paint for us, and the rich history of her story with this album, what do you think? Does 99.9% by Kaytranada, does it go to 11? Is it a perfect album?
Well, I got two things to say to that. First of all, technically it goes to 6,467.9 because that's actually the total number of points that you come up to. Because I decided because you were concerned about the points, I decided I would total it as we went along. So at the Canadian rate, that would knock you up to about like 68.25. Is what we're going to go with, which I think is pretty good. But in all honesty, all joking aside, I think when you described the album to me, that like showing up at a party, that image to me felt so vivid for this album. And not only that, it also made me think of it being like showing up at a party, looking good, and no one there is being a dick. Like everyone at the party is people that you dig, and like it's just such a positive environment, and like everyone's there to have a good time. No one's pissing anyone off. So to answer your question, Ty, yes, this album does in fact go to 11.
Oh, I'm so glad you guys liked it. I love this album.
Yes. Nube, just so you know, there are a few songs off this album I have already added to my Cherubs playlist for the summer.
No way. The Cherubs? Cherubs?
Yeah. The Cherubs. We're going to hear some Kaytranada this summer.
The chief cherub himself is back.
It's back, baby.
This was super fun.
Yeah, likewise. I'll let you guys get back to it, but I love you both tremendously. I hope I was a good guest. I hope I said enough to get you some good ratings.
So we should mention what we have as our standout track.
Yes, please.
We chose Together.
Yeah. Oh, and real quick, are we going to talk after the track plays, or is this it?
This is it.
This will be it.
Okay, well, can you guys tell me why you chose this track then?
Yeah, Michael, why did we choose this track? What made you identify it as a standout?
I mean, honestly, for this, it was because there were 3 that I think I sent you via text, and it was just sort of a gut feeling on this one. I think like I'm someone who always approaches music more from music first, then lyrics, and there's something about this album. I think I mentioned it earlier. It feels like everything is in like a different, like a foreign key or something, or a key that like a lot of songs aren't generally written in. And I think this was one of the songs that just stuck out to me. It had a sort of like a certain vibe to it that made it memorable, because when you listen to this album all the way through, it's hard to tell when a new song starts sometimes.
Yeah,
and
it is.
That was one of the ones that it stuck out specifically.
Agreed. Totally.
So yeah.
What about you, Ty?
I'd say the same thing, plus Goldlink. Goldlink really adds. I think Goldlink is another one of those collaborators that just fits so well with Kaytranada that there's some really great chemistry happening there. And it's also not one of the it's not one of the more popular songs on the album, so I felt like it was really sheer volume of play wise based on everything on the internet. It's not one of those more famous songs. So I was glad for the opportunity to introduce our listeners and play out on one of the lesser known songs.
Yeah, it's definitely really great, and I think Goldlink, big crush on Goldlink. I think Goldlink is the man.
Yeah,
his flow it's so great, and like his drawl, the way he like he's sly. You just, I don't know. It's a really beautiful mix with the yearning of the Aluna George part. I think it's Aluna George, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
That's a good duo too.
Hey, I love you, buddy. You're the best.
You're the best. Tyler's my guy.
Forever and always.
I love you, Michael.
Love you too, Nube.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. We will see you next week. And this is Together by Kaytranada featuring Aluna George and Goldlink. Have a great one.
Bye, everybody.